Welcome back to Music, Awesomeness and Stuff with Miss G. In this video we're going to be talking about key signatures, specifically how key signatures are constructed, as well as how to identify a key signature. Okay, so when we're talking about key signatures, what is a key signature? Our key signature is something that's printed in the music that tells us which of the notes are sharp or flat, and which of the notes are natural. The key signature will always be found in the top left-hand corner of a piece of music, and you're going to see your clef, and then you're going to see your key signature, and then you're going to see your time signature. If you're playing a more recently published piece of music, that key signature should be reprinted at the beginning of every single one of the staves of music. However, if you're playing some very, very old music, sometimes it's only printed once and you're supposed to remember what it is for the rest of the piece. Now, when we're talking about key signatures, there are generally three main types of key signatures. There are sharp keys, there are flat keys, and then there's one key that has no sharps or flats, which is our natural key, and that's C. So, how do we construct a key signature? Well, like I just said, the key of C has no sharps or flats, so that's an easy one to remember. If we're going to do a flat key, we have to first remember the order of flats. And an easier way to remember it is Beadgcf, or B-E-A-D-G-C-F. So what that means is that if we have a key signature with one flat, it's going to be B flat, and it's always going to be B flat. You will never ever see a piece of music that has one flat and that flat is A flat, okay? So if I have a key signature with one flat, it's going to be B flat. If I have a key signature with two flats, it's going to be B flat and E flat. If I have three flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat, and so on and so forth. So when we're talking about sharp keys, there is also an order of sharps that we need to keep in mind. So the order of sharps are F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, B sharp. One of the common mnemonic devices used to help remember the order of sharps is this: fat cats go down alleys eating birds. And the order of sharps works the same way as the order of flats. So if you have a key signature with one sharp in it, it's always going to be F sharp. If you have two sharps, it's F sharp, C sharp. If you have four sharps, it's going to be F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and so on and so forth. Also, you might have noticed that the order of flats is the opposite as the order of sharps. So if you can remember one, you can remember both of them. So now that we understand how the order of flats and the order of sharps work to put together a key signature, let's talk about the circle of fifths, because the circle of fifths is a very convenient and logical way to organize our key signatures. Okay, so here you will find a fairly standard circle of fifths. You'll notice that this particular circle of fifths just covers major key signatures. We'll talk about minor key signatures in a separate video. What you'll notice is that C major is at the top because there are no flats or sharps in the key of C. Going around to the right, each of our key signature adds one sharp for each key, and then going around to the left, each of our key signatures adds one flat. You'll notice down at the bottom there are three keys that have both sharp and flat key signatures listed for them. That's because they are enharmonic keys. So we know that enharmonic is a word that means two ways to spell the same pitch. So for example, F sharp and G flat are the same note. So if I play an F sharp major scale with this key signature, it is going to sound the same but be written on the staff differently than the key of G flat, which would be this key signature. As we remember, our order of sharps is F sharp, C, G, D, A, E, B, or if we're using our mnemonic device, fat cats go down alleys eating birds. So if we add one sharp, it's going to be F sharp. If we have two sharps, it's going to be F sharp, C sharp, 3, F, C, G, and so on and so forth. And then around to the left side, remember our order of flats is Beadgcf, B-E-A-D-G-C-F. So one flat is B flat, two is B flat, E flat, B flat, E flat, A flat, and so on and so forth. So now that you have a basic idea of how key signatures are constructed, that's all you really need to know. We could go into all the nitty-gritties of how is a major scale constructed, which is a series of whole and half steps. That's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and why the keys have the order of sharps and flats in the way that they do. But that's not anything that you really need to know. As long as you remember the order of flats and the order of sharps, then you're going to be set. Now, let's talk about how to identify what key you're in if you see it in your music. Okay, so there are two fairly easy to remember rules to help you identify a key signature if you see it in your music. And all of the keys, with the exception of two of them, will fall under these rules. So the two exceptions are the key of C major, which has no sharps and flats, which is pretty easy to remember, and the key of F, which has only one flat in the key signature, which is B flat. Now for the rest of the flat keys, there's a pretty simple rule to remember to help you identify what key we're in. The rule is, the name of your key is the name of the second to last flat in your key signature. So let's take the key of B flat, for example. In the key of B flat, there are two flats, B flat and E flat. B flat is your second to last key or flat in the key signature, therefore we are in the key of B flat. Okay? For example, let's take the key of D flat. There are 5 flats in D flat. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Okay? The name of your key is the name of your second to last flat, which in this case would be D flat. So that's a pretty easy one to remember. So there's also a rule for naming sharp keys, and this actually works for all of the sharp keys. The name of the key signature for a sharp key is a half step above the last sharp in your key signature. So if we have one sharp in our key signature, is going to be F sharp. A half step above F sharp is G, so we're in the key of G. Okay? Remember, it is not G sharp, it is just the key of G, because G sharp would be an A flat key, right? Let's take another one. Let's say we have a key signature with 3 sharps in it. We have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. G sharp is your last sharp in the key signature. If you go a half step above G sharp, you're going to get to an A. We're in the key of A. Okay, so I know we've already gone over how to name or identify key signatures, but sometimes seeing it helps explain it a little bit better. So, as we remember, the rule for naming a flat key is the name of your key is the second to last flat in your key signature. So, for example, here I have B flat. B flat, so E flat is my last flat in my key signature, B flat is the second to last flat in my key signature, that's the name of my key. Say go all the way over here. I have B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat. So G flat is the second to last flat in my key signature and therefore is the name of my key. And this works for every flat key with the exception of F because there is no second to last flat. So F is just the one that you have to remember by yourself. Now, remember, our sharp key signature naming rule is that the name of your key is a half step above the last sharp in your key signature. So here I have F sharp and C sharp. So C sharp is the last sharp in my key signature. A half step above C sharp is D, so therefore we are in the key of D. Let's see, I go over here to B. So I have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp. A sharp is the last sharp in my key signature. If you go a half step above A sharp, you would be at a B, therefore the name of our key is B. Now, it's helpful to remember all of these rules and to remember your order of flats and to remember how to name flat and sharp keys. But in all reality, the best way to learn your key signatures are just to memorize them, okay? So for example, if I hear E, I immediately know that there are 4 sharps in my key signature and they're F, C, G, and D. So if you can just remember or memorize what the key signatures look like, and there really are only 12 of them, 13 if you count F sharp and G flat, that you're going to see fairly common in music. So if you can just memorize those 13, it will be a much faster and helpful process.